With just 38 days until Election Day and some states already voting, the DNC is putting the focus on critical down-ballot races. For the first time in its history, the committee has now sent money to every state and territory in the country this cycle. The latest investment, totaling nearly $2.5 million, aims to help state parties break Republican supermajorities in deep red states and strengthen voter engagement efforts across the U.S. Joining us now, the man leading this effort, DNC Chair Jimmy Harrison.
You know what, Mr. Chairman, I think that this particularly is a function of you having been a state party chair yourself. And because you were a state party chair previously, you know what it feels like to not have resources, to get a little bit of resources from the party, and you know the difference that it could make. So, you know, the streets like to say a lot about your tenure at the Democratic National Committee, but I think that this historic investment speaks for itself.
Well, thank you for that, Simone. And listen, I hope the streets are talking about the fact that we have done this type of investment for the entirety of my tenure as chair of the DNC. Remember, last cycle, the DNC in the midterms, part of the reason we beat back the red wave was because we invested in all of our state parties. We put $45 million in direct support during the midterms into our state parties. Simone, that is 52% more than what we did in the 2017 and 2018 cycle. 52% more in terms of direct support to all state parties, regardless if you're red state, purple state, or blue state. And so I'm proud of what we built up. And the reason why we've been able to do it is because of the support of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. These are two individuals who, even when they were not on the ballot, went out, helped to fundraise to give us at the DNC some of the financial support to then put back into our state parties. And so now I believe that we are stronger as a party nationally. You know, a lot of people want to compare this year to 2016. Well, it's very different. We have been able to put more resources on the ground into our state parties. And I'm proud because we're doing tribal investments. We're doing all kinds of things to go into communities that we have not always gone into before. And therefore, we're going to be stronger going into a very, very close presidential election.
Let's talk about what that map could look like, Mr. Chairman. You have the DSCC making a multi-million-dollar investment in ads in Texas and in Florida's Senate races. You have been on this show very bullish about Florida in particular. I do believe, though, there's a little bit of a conceit in there, though, which is concern about the Montana Senate race. I want you to talk a little bit about that. And also, if you think you can add Nebraska to that list, Texas and Florida.
Well, again, and remember, on top of the investments that we made into state parties, just a few weeks ago, we announced $25 million transfer from the DNC to the DSCC, to the DCCC, our Senate, our House races, our gubernatorial races. We are going to compete everywhere, from Montana to Ohio to Florida to Texas to Missouri. You know, all of these states have races that are really critical and crucial at this point. And I believe, you know, I am bullish. I'm bullish on Florida, but I'm also bullish on Texas. Colin Allred is running a textbook campaign in Texas right now. And Ted Cruz is, he's scared. We see that Rick Scott is also running scared because Debbie Mucarsel-Powell is running also a great campaign. And, you know, the fact is, the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, have ticked off the Haitians down there. They've ticked off the Venezuelans. Abortion is on the ballot. Cannabis is on the ballot. And for the first time in 30 years, there's a Democrat running in every congressional house, state house, and state Senate seat. So, you know, we have been doing these things, putting all of these blocks together to get us to this point where we can compete everywhere. I'm telling the Republicans right now, we're not ceding ground to you anywhere. From Nebraska to Maine to Alaska, we're going to fight all over. And we know what the vice president says. When we fight, we win.
Alicia and I were sitting here. She literally wrote Nebraska down before you said it. In Nebraska, not just winning the blue dot, if you will, is on the table for either Vice President Harris or Donald Trump, but there's a congressional seat there. Tony Vargas is the Democratic candidate running against Don Bacon. And then there's a Senate candidate. And in Nebraska, it's the independent Senate candidate that seems to be surging. Do you think that there is a potential for a trifecta in those races that I just laid out?
Simone, guess what round-headed chair from a certain party is going to be in Nebraska on October 5th, right? This one. I am going to be right there in Nebraska working with the Nebraska Democratic Party because, again, this is what happens when you invest everywhere, where you just don't listen to conventional wisdoms that says, well, that's a red state. Let's not invest any resources there. We have the right type of party leadership there. We understand what is at stake, and we are going to be there to make sure that we provide the support to win these very close elections. We saw some polling that came out of that congressional district. We also saw some of the general polling in Nebraska for the Senate race. We've seen where we are and where we stand in terms of that one electoral college vote. So we are going to compete everywhere, and that's the important part. And when you compete, then the other side has to bring it. And I know that they didn't intend to invest any resources into defending Nebraska, but now they have to.
Melissa Murray and I have a special coming out on MSNBC tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, about Black women in America. And before the convention started this year, the Democratic National Convention, we spoke to Mignon Moore, Donna Brazile, Bishop Leah Daughtry, Tina Flournoy, and Yolanda Caraway. I want to play for you what Mignon had to say about envisioning a Black woman as the president, and then get your response on the other side.
A taste of freedom. If we want to believe that this democracy needs to be saved, then we have to be participants in it, and we can't continue to use the narrative that Black men won't show up because it's a female. What is true, in my humble opinion, is that we have to change how men see women, and we have to give them the visual of a commander-in-chief. And I believe that Vice President Harris has done that quite well. Mm-hmm. I thought that Hillary had done it quite well. So we still have to push, because if we blink, people will see something different because they've never seen it before. And I think it's up to Black women. I think it's up to white men. I think it's up to Asians, the LGBT community. How do you envision a woman as president?
Jamie, the work, these record investments are historic, and this is going to be a race that is decided on the margins. Men are an important part of that, Black men, especially Latino men. What do you say? What do you say to the notion that all of this effort is great, but there's still a little bit more to be done?
Oh, there's always work to be done. But, Mignon hit it right. I love Mignon so much. She's my sister in the struggle. But I've been giving people the vision of what their hard work means. I've been painting this picture, Simone. Imagine this. January 20th, we're in Washington, D.C. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's Inauguration Day. We're at the Capitol, a building built by the hands of slaves. And on that dais is a Black man, the first Black Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries. There's a Black woman in a Black robe, the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And then there's a woman of Black and Asian descent standing on that stage, putting her hand on that Bible, lifting the other hand, and swearing to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Thereby, Kamala Harris becoming the 47th president of these United States and the most powerful person on the face of the planet. That doesn't have to be some myth or fable. That can be the reality if we do what Michelle Obama said, which is do something. We all need to knock on doors. We need to pick up the phones. We need to send in money, do something, and we can make that a reality. And by making that a reality, we will have somebody in the White House who will fight for all of us, Black men, white men, Black women, white women, Latinas, Asian. All of us deserve someone who will fight for us, and Kamala Harris will do just that.